I'd like to think people are lucky to be friends with Martin because you don't need to buy.
Exactly. It's like, suddenly the hobby is no longer expensive.
It's no longer expensive.
Cardboard Buzz.
Hello everyone. Board gaming is very subjective. I guess a lot of things are. For example, my favorite game wouldn't be your favorite. It's just there's a lot of options everywhere. And I had this thought that with board gaming being divisive as it is there a chance that board gamers think alike? So that's what I did. I gathered some of my friends, asked them a bunch of questions, asked them if they agree or disagree with it, and see how they feel about it. And that's what you're about to watch.
I'm a project manager.
I'm a science communicator.
I'm a web developer.
I am a retail support advisor and training and quality manager.
I am a mathematician and a high school math teacher.
I am a teacher and game designer.
Thank you for the introductions, and now we're ready to begin. Alright, so I'm ready for the first prompt. Do you agree or disagree? Board gaming is for nerds. Three, two, one. Wow. Okay. Ooh. All right. We're all on that side of that spectrum.
I personally am not a nerd. So I'm just, the average kind of student who just try to pass or to get through my grades and not really an achiever. Board game really clicks on me as a hobby, and I've been doing this for more than 5 years already. And yeah, my wife and I have been doing this, and you don't even need to be smart or to become a nerd to play board games.
When I try to introduce board gaming to new people, they say, ay, pang matalino yan. It's not that, board gaming is, I guess, bound by rules. And we live with rules anyway. There are laws everywhere around us. So for people that are thinking that board gaming is for nerds and there's a barrier to that, that is not the case.
I strongly disagree with the misconception about board gaming just being like for nerds. That there's a lot of maybe biases that go into this. That just because there's reading and math involved, but not every game is like that. That modern gaming has already advanced and like sort of adapted to different people's interests and play styles. That there are games for children, so that should already just give you an idea of like how wide of like topics and skill levels that gaming can require or be able to accommodate. So it's not just for nerds. That it's beyond that already.
Alright, that's the first one. Now we move on to the next. Board gaming as a hobby is expensive. Oh, ayan. May nag-disagree.
I think expensive is relative. People spend on travel. People spend on toys. People spend on good food, clothes. So those are expenses. Cost is relative.
It is relative, that's true. I think we have to take into consideration the fact that people have different priorities as to what they want to be deemed as expensive. And really though, board games are a luxury. Not everyone can afford it and not everyone needs it. And that's why I think it's not really something that is necessary. Compared to other hobbies, board games definitely have a higher cost compared to, let's say, video games or, I don't know, sports. Yeah.
If you need to spend money on necessities, especially if you have a family, you really don't have as much disposable income to spend on games. But thankfully, there are cheaper ways to play online. If you have like games that are like staple in your collection that you play a lot, super sulit na nun. But if you have games that you've bought and you haven't opened and like if you add it up to a cost of, I don't know, X thousands, I guess that's when I have to think about it more. Like when we decide whether or not to back a Kickstarter, parang baka let's try it online first para at least we know if we like it.
It is often that new board gamers or board game collectors have to draw the line themselves on when and where and how it will be responsible to buy more or to buy these new games, because games just keep popping up and you want to keep up with them as well, and it's just an expense of choice as well. It can be very expensive depending on how deep you are in it already.
After buying the board game, there's a lot of additive costs that you have to incur to just take care of the board games. I think everyone here agrees that we all want to take care of our games. So you buy sleeves. Sometimes some people will buy plastic covers. Some people will buy extra miniatures for their games to spice it up. And aside from
Inserts.
that, inserts, exactly. Whenever I have to buy a board game, I have to be able to look at it in the store. So like, for example, I have to incur travel costs. I have to make sure that I'm going there and check out if I want to buy this game mismo and look at it.
It can be expensive for your friends, but you don't have to spend if they buy the games.
True.
You can also be conscious about what you're spending and don't necessarily have to buy board games. That's the whole concept of why they made board game cafes, that you can go visit these places and try these games out. You can join gaming communities. There's even the whole entire community for print and play, that you can play games at a cost-effective price. It may not be the exact same experience, just like BGA and those other things. So I agree in a sense that if you're going to become a board game collector, yes, it's going to be expensive. But if you're just board gaming as a hobby, there are alternate lines that can be cost efficient.
We move on to the next. I collect games more than I play them. All right. It looks like we're across the board.
When I started, I backed a lot of projects and bought a lot of games and found that I wasn't playing them often enough. So I adjusted how I purchase, just making sure that I get games that I actually get on the table.
I am the same as Javi. At least right now, as I matured into the hobby, been years after already. I think I'm more of a smarter purchaser now. I do my best to ensure that what I'm buying will actually get to the table. There's still, a balance between having too much games in your shelf than you should probably own.
Context-wise, for example, in my group of friends, I buy the games. So, parang whenever we play, they rely on my collection of games. And to add to that, parang back then when we had a university org called UP Tabletop, parang ako din yung parang one of the main suppliers of games. So it just so happens na I have to collect games not just for myself, not just for when I play them, but for my friends who want to play them as well. So, and typically when that happens, whenever we have game nights, di ako nakakalaro ng games ko, but they get to borrow it and we play it lang together. They play it with their smaller group and I play it with my smaller group. Lately, I'd like to think I'm trying to be more mature with my purchases now. So like I remember the other day I made a status saying that I'm so proud of myself. I didn't get to buy a board game for 2 months. And then I followed it up with I have to pay a Kickstarter at the end of the month. So ayun.
There you go. My family / I guess the important people in my life is supportive of my hobby, which is board gaming.
I never got any complaints from my mom about my gaming habit. Started Magic the Gathering in 1998. Practically turned gaming into my career. That's what I'm known for. And my mom is super proud of it. My other relatives were initially skeptic about it, especially when I decided to be a game designer. But eventually everyone started following my career and became very supportive. Of course, I still get called out whenever I'm seen hoarding, especially with my growing obsession with miniatures for the most part. They see me happy, they see me being able to sustain it. I think that's the most important thing. They see that I'm able to sustain it. I make games so I can afford to buy games.
What a sentiment.
Context-wise, my family is full of pragmatists. So they're the type of people who would think na parang, oh, para saan ba yan? Ano ba kailangan mo dyan? So I think it's actually not just with my hobby, no, but with a lot of my other life choices. Every time I buy a game or every time they see something at the doorstep, sabi nila, Martin, ano ba yan? Bakit mo binibili yan? Martin, you should be saving. Martin, you should be investing. Pero I also think about those things. I do save, I do invest, I do have insurance. But definitely, whenever they see games, parang they always have this knee-jerk reaction. Hindi mo kailangan yan or parang para saan ba yan or gagamitin ba namin yan? Actually, I've always tried getting my family into the hobby, but to no avail at all. My family has this notion nga na parang as millennials, parang part ako daw ng millennial generation, there are more important things that I should be giving focus on rather than board games.
Yeah. Okay, I get that from time to time. They've come to accept that this is my thing, but they still don't get it. So
My family doesn't really know about what my hobby is. I mean, I live with my girlfriend right now, so it's like I'm living a life of my own. So, but with her, of course, she's very supportive. We play every time.
I don't know if I'm also very lucky that I'm part of a like extended family who like really enjoy board games. So like even as a young kid, when we get together every Sunday, we play board games. I guess before pa like Monopoly, Pilgrimage, like really old board games, and when my cousin introduced us to modern board games, yun, everyone was hooked from my dad, my aunts. Fun, I guess, na part ng mga family reunions, yung board games. It's like what we do, basically, when we're together.
Okay.
Well, for me, my family is my wife, and if dumating yung time, if that she told me she doesn't want to play board games anymore, then my collection will will all get sold. So
you have my number.
yeah, that's how my collection are based on. Even the taste of games I collect really is based on what we could play together, what she likes to play, not what I want to play, but what we could play together. That's how my collections are built, and that's how I get support from her.
Okay, what a partner. Where we're letting things out, then that's good to know. We're going to the deeper end of board gaming. So, competitive board gaming, such as tournaments, are helpful to the hobby. Oh, what do you think about that?
Sobrang controversial.
Okay, let's see. Nahirapan mag-vote si Mikey. Why is that?
I've been in the competitive circuit before I became a board gamer. Tournaments create visibility. They drive sales. No? As far as Magic, Warhammer is concerned, super helpful. No? Gets word out there. But then there's the dark side of the competitive scene. Sorry, inappropriate term. Neck bearding, the table flipping. That's the flip side. I don't want that to be highlighted. Sayang. No? But then again, the visibility and the ubiquity of these games have, I think, contributed to the popularization of tabletop gaming. Having said that, I'd still much rather play in a casual, very friendly environment. So I guess that's why my answer is only slightly at least.
Agreed. I chose slightly for the same reason that it does have that positive effect in raising interest. But, ultimately, these games were meant to be played casually. It's nice to be able to maybe like test your skills out. So it does meet that need for certain people, but it isn't like as necessary as people may make it out to be. Keeping board gaming casual has has more of an upside.
If you're familiar with Smash for video gaming, right? It's the same game that is meant for casual play that has a solid competitive scene. I guess it's good because, of course, as games, you also want to win and be competitive. So I guess that's all good. That's why I said I slightly agree as well. But again, I would prefer to play it very casually, as much as possible, as often as possible.
When Mikey talks about the dark side of tournaments. I feel that's not a fault of the hobby or the fault of the tournament. That's the fault of the players. That's the fault of the community. And I think when you guys also said that I think games should be casual only, I think that's also a bit problematic, no? Because the fact that there are people who are toxic in these tournaments feel that they're toxic because they feel that Magic should be played this way or Magic or tournaments should be played this way. They're already boxing the hobby as something that's competitive. And in the reverse side, that's also true if we say that games should only be for casual play only. I think if you guys agree that games are for everyone, then we don't have to box it in as casual only or competitive only.
I play competitive Magic, so I do agree. But also, it's nothing about being competitive, but like that brings out something in some people that may sour the hobby for others when they see it. Just as would be like with video gaming or any other competitive scene, that some people's drive to win makes them make some poor decisions, and then it tarnishes the name.
Yeah, I agree with Martin. It's not really the fault of the tournament. It's really more of a cultural or personal ano ba, fault.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, but
Definitely.
unfortunately, what it becomes the victim though is the hobby because of these people.
I was saying lang na parang, isn't that kind of behavior still seen pa rin naman in casual play, not just in competitive play?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. To some extent, yes. But the moment that you actually paid money and there's prize support and you get destroyed or targeted and you find out that, that people are bending the rules just so that they can get like their share of prizes or capitalize on it, it also like discourages you from joining future events, which hurts LGS. So there's a chain reaction to it. It can kind of steer people away from the hobby because they've had a negative experience.
For me, default, when someone says competitive, I immediately think about the tournaments. I'm glad Martin nuanced that. To be competitive is all right. Like, you have the competitive spirit. I'm competitive when I play some kinds of games. But, again, whenever money is involved, that does change people. At a tournament semi-final, someone offered me an entire binder of cards to throw the match and knock myself out of finals. So there's that thing. I think in a LGS conference, they asked that question, and I think a rep from Magic said that actually 10% of the paying customers are the tournament players. The rest are casual home people.
I was just surprised with how far tournament players went when you said someone offered you a binder of cards to throw a match.
That's nothing, man.
That's basic. That's basic.
Yeah,
Super
that's basic.
Hey, it's me again. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say that if you are enjoying this video, please consider subscribing or leaving a like or comment. It would help us by a great amount. So, just a friendly reminder. On to the video.
Trash talk is part of the fun.
Oh, this is so hard to answer.
Yeah.
You're free to interpret it as how you want it to be.
Okay,
I don't have
fair
anything specific for it. Yeah. Without thinking about it very much, I voted strongly agree. Maybe it's just because I'm the person who likes stable talk a lot, and that's just adds another element to gaming for me. For me, it's just trying to probably incite someone to or teasing someone of a move they made, or in trying to manipulate or influence someone of a move they're about to do. I think it was our friend Jake who said it. Eurogames na nga nilalaro, tahimik niyo pa.
I mean, it's how I play, but you still have to also really feel the table first. If these are like people you regularly play with, they know you well enough, sure. But in certain environment, you keep that till you break the ice with these. I always consider that trash talking like encourages like competitiveness in the game, and it gets people more involved. As long as no one takes it personally, they understand that it's a joke, or that that people are not meaning any harm by it, then yeah, it makes for a good game experience, and it even helps the next playthrough because like grudges and vendettas carry over.
I sort of agree with Ivan. Trash talking is more of just teasing asaran, basically. It's not like really criticizing, I guess. But I'm also thinking about if my behavior in terms of like playing a game that way is somewhat influenced by how parang people uh, act when they play Ren with me as a girl. Let's act more gentlemanly. I don't know. So I don't know if I somewhat parang compensate by playing more like that, more nangaasar din para lang people are comfortable playing normally around me.
I do trash talk with people that I know I'm safe to do so. Like number one si Ivan. The reason why I slightly disagree because there are a lot of people then who really are very sensitive to trash talking, which is number one is my wife. Like just the slightest trash talk na even she's not involved in the game, sobrang ambigat na sa kanyang emotion. There are trash talks kasi that leads the game on people ganking up with you. Oh, leading na siya, oh. So something like that. So that I personally don't really appreciate. Like okay, let's just why don't you just mind your own stuff and something like that. I am not saying that's wrong, but the fun in trash talking is somehow subjective, depends on our personalities then kasi.
For me, it's not a part of the fun. It's just an extra layer that you can have optionally. I'm really thinking about it na parang is it part of this or not? For me, I enjoy games where we're quiet. So, in contrast to what Jake says, I'm sorry, kaya I don't think we're gonna play together. Sobrang tahimik namin sa group namin. So parang we really like thinking about it.
So I come from the same realm as Jake, that there's just so much talking in every game.
There is a person I do trash talk, and it's Ken. If I'm playing with Ken, but if I'm not playing with Ken, like with my regular group of friends, parang we actually have sarcastic phrases na parang, oh, galing na mong move na yun, oh, gagawin na niya yan, gagawin mo na yan. So parang sometimes it gets on our nerves then. No?
When I play games, I must absolutely win. All right. Okay. Interesting votes here.
Sobrang split. The implicit lesson that I got from game nights at kina Martin, sa Black Scoop, Snacks and Ladders, the crowd there, and other gaming groups. When everyone's having fun, everybody wins. For me, pero that's how it is. At least for me.
It's impossible to always absolutely win. I do try to win, but of course I can't always win. So I just don't want to give myself that kind of heartache or frustration. I'll put in my best effort, but if I lose, then I give my best effort and I still enjoy.
I mean, I always, of course, I play competitive Magic. So when I play that game, I really have like the mentality of play to win. But when being a board game facilitator, you want people to enjoy the experience. So I always set that aside. It's more about making sure that everyone enjoyed the experience and would like to play the game again. I'll reserve my absolutely win as game face for Magic.
I play to win, and I agree that people can have fun without winning. That's fair. That's true. You can definitely have fun with other activities where you don't have to win. You can have fun with the movies. You can have fun with watching Netflix. You can have fun playing toys. But games, for me, have this inherent property that there is a winner. And so, for me, to give due credit to a game, you have to play to win. Because you have to win.
For the next prompt, I have found deeper relationships playing board games more than anywhere else. We're almost all in the same spectrum. Martin is abstaining. I've always been an introvert, and parallel to when I discovered board gaming, I am in the indie music scene as well. and I didn't really know how to make friends. And it's very difficult for me actually to make friends. I think board gaming bridged that gap for me to actually make friends that I would consider, friends for life. As I grew, I matured, I made connections with people just, from just a board game friend to just an actual friend without a label or qualifier anymore. Last pala, my first date with my current girlfriend was board gaming. So we went out to play board games. So it's just, you know, it's how it went for me. So
I've made a lot of friends and met a lot of people while playing board games and being in the hobby. There are still people you grew up with, or that people who really might know a different version of you from maybe when you were younger or from your personal life and stuff. So there's certain things, of course, that you don't bring into board gaming, which other people might have more privy to. So with that's why I only slightly agree.
So I also said slightly agree. I think it's because I just got into the community fairly recently. So I guess it's more of, I don't know yet, just kasi I guess it depends on the person, kasi some people also just play games for the games. But when you go into a game, it's like a magic circle. You still want to be friends outside of the game. So I guess that's when I say slightly agree, because people come in with different expectations of where the relationship will start and end. Is it from the start of the game to the end of the game, or it can go beyond?
Aya couldn't have put it much better than what she said. No? Parang it's that you go into a magic circle, you play a game, and then you have to compartmentalize it from your life outside of games. And for me, kasi personally, I don't tend to invest emotions into games. Unless it's for very specific people or for very specific instances. No? I mean, it kind of sounds bad, no? But I don't really have the interest to make friends due to games. I want to make friends not just because of games. Parang ganon. So parang if I have to say na games are the main way for me to make friends, then parang I feel that's very shallow on my end. And I don't think I can make deeper relationships just because of board games. So yeah.
This is in relation to relationships that I already had on existing relationships, like with my wife, with my pamangkins, with my office mates. It even grow deeper, and I've seen it many times even in the workplace, that walls have been eliminated.
second to the last prompt, board gaming has helped and enriched other areas of my life.
All right.
My life kind of took a 180, because of board games. There's those specific set of events that happened in my life because of tabletop, and when we talked about my reasons for playing board games in the first place, it's a means for me to know people, to see people. Whenever I go out on a date, I have with a new person. I bring a board game. It just tells me whether we can, she can accept this part of me, for example, or the people I hang out with. In that sense, I think it has, how much she made me a better person in general, and maybe less of an asshole competitor.
It's definitely changed a lot of different things in my life. That's why I've met a lot of people. It's definitely made me adjust my interests and hobbies. It's taught me different skills. It also got me out of my shell towards more becoming a facilitator, public speaking and teaching. Even here, that's going online and creating content for the hobby. I mean, I wouldn't have done this for any other hobby. It's all been positive, really.
Working for a game cafe really helped boost my confidence and public speaking skills. Board gaming has helped me become a better person. But yeah, board games in that regard opened up discussions like that with people like Mikey, and apparently it helped me become a much more mature person, I think.
For me, I strongly agree as well. First is the social aspect of my life. I guess that's it. That's all I can say. And board gaming, again, as I mentioned on the previous prompts as well, it just helped me overcome the awkwardness, the shyness that I have, the barriers that I have in terms of letting people in, and it just worked wonders for me.
I really appreciate board games as a medium, and I think that has helped and enriched my craft, I guess, in terms of the mm, different ways I've tried to communicate science.
Board gaming helped my English skills. When I'm starting reading rules, watching videos, oh, parang it's even easier to really teach it that way kaysa Tagalog. And it even helped me communicate better even sa work. My past companies are multinational companies. It even helped me communicate with confidence.
This is it. And I think ito yung parang cheat code ko for us to try to have a unanimous answer across the board. Everyone should try board gaming.
May isa talagang ano
Oo. Ito yung hidden traitor eh. Yeah.
It's masyadong absolute yung everyone should try board gaming. I guess I'm just saying slightly agree to just give space for someone to say I don't want to. Parang it's just technicality. Mas ganun na parang we can't really force anyone to do anything. So it's just that.
Yeah. No, definitely if anyone has any like judgments or opinions about board gaming, that maybe they should try it once.
My goal for this at least channel is to try to spread the love and the beauty of board gaming, and I definitely agree with the prompt. Everyone should at least try board gaming at least once. There's a lot of things that will help you. And there's a lot of things that board gaming can give you. Aside from just taking your money.
Somebody said this. I don't know if it's Will Wheaton or somebody. It's not that you're not into gaming, you just haven't found your game or the right game for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm paraphrasing.
Maybe you haven't found the right game, but maybe you also haven't found the right people to play it with, the right community. I'd like to think people are lucky to be friends with Martin, if they are friends with Martin. Because you don't need to buy.
Exactly. Suddenly the hobby is no longer expensive.
Let's put that into perspective. When everyone's, it might also compel you to, hey, maybe there's a game that I'd like to bring on game night. Maybe it's a small box game. Maybe it's just Arboretum. It's a light game. Maybe people will like it.
I would like everyone to maybe try sushi once in their life, or maybe try skydiving. But see, board gaming doesn't have mercury poisoning or sudden death. So,
True.
Yes, people should try board gaming because us, whether we like it or not, we as humans, we have this sense of belongingness in a community. We have this sense that we wanted to communicate, interact with people. It might be in board gaming, it might be in other hobbies or whatsoever, work and stuff like that.
That's the essence talaga of the hobby. Parang, if earlier I said that parang games are made because you have to win, that's just my personal view. I think we can all agree here that board games are made as a social thing. I think board games were originally with the intent to have fun with other people. And I think if we're able to make everyone try that out, then I think we've already achieved something in that.
So that is all 10 prompts for our agree-disagree session. Do board gamers think the same? I mean, obviously not, but that's what we found out today. And personally, I thank each one of you for accepting the invite, sharing your thoughts in this session. I hope you had fun. At least I hope you gained something, you learned something today.
Yeah, definitely a learning session. Learned a lot, different perspectives.
So ayun. And I guess last words or thoughts from everyone.
We all have different perspectives, but we also all have an understanding of mutually respecting each other, whether it's around the table or as part of the community. So, ayun, I really enjoyed hearing from everyone. So, thank you for the opportunity.
The board gaming community is not it's not always happy ending. So there might be times, there might be groups that may disappoint you to what you are expecting. If this is something that you like and like a certain group has somehow disappointed you, just try to find another group that would fit your liking, your preference. There are lots of benefits, or like, yeah, benefits of board gaming, like what we have discussed a while ago.
Basically, being involved in the gaming community, regardless of what kind of game you're playing, I think is really important. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of pretty much feelings that people will always openly share. A lot of their thoughts on the hobby, and it's actually a very open community that I encourage everyone to be a part of.
We are a growing community, not just in numbers, but in terms of mindset as well. I think even if we have different members with very different opinions and thoughts, I think we can all band together under the idea that we just want more people into the hobby. We want to try to strive to be more accessible, more open, more friendly, and that's why I think series like this, such as what Ivan is doing, is super helpful for people to get to know more about the people inside the community and more about the hobby itself.
You can get along with people with diverse opinions, like the 6 people here. We don't agree on everything. We agree on a lot of things, but I think there's always a group of people, or there's always at least one person that you can find in any game group and get along with. Agree on board games, play board games, enjoy. Incredibly diverse set of experiences. There's just something for everybody, and I hope we'll see more people. And I enjoy watching everyone else's sharing of opinions on different board game topics.
All right. So again, thank you everyone. Let's say bye.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Sure, no problem.